Sunday we would go to church and pay attention to the priest. He would read the holy word and consecrate the holy bread, and everyone would kneel and bow. Today the only difference is everything is holy now. Everything, everything, everything is holy now. When I was in Sunday school, we would learn about the time Moses split the sea in two. Jesus made the water wine. And I remember feeling sad that miracles don't happen still. But now I can't keep track, 'cause everything's a miracle. Oh, everything, everything, everything's a miracle. Everything, everything, everything's a miracle. Yeah. From water is not so small, but an even better magic trick is that anything is here at all. So the challenging thing becomes not to look for miracles, but finding where there isn't one. When holy water was rare at best, barely where my fingertips. Now I have to hold my breath, 'cause I'm swimming in a sea of it. It used to be a world out there, heaven second rate had me down. But I walked it with the reverend air, 'cause everything is holy now. Everything, everything, everything is holy now. Yeah, everything.
Good morning, Center of Spiritual Living in Beaumont. My name is Steve Adams. I'm one of the practitioners here, and I'm very glad that you're joining me for this meditation this morning. Take a deep breath in and breathe out. Relax in the chair. Feel it really supporting you. Put your feet on the ground, your hands in your lap. And if you feel comfortable, you can close your eyes. I'm going to read a meditation by Ernest Holmes, which will be followed by a silent meditation. It's entitled, Peace is the Power at the Heart of God. Peace is the power of the heart of God. Take a deep breath in. Breathe out. My peace is found at the heart of God. The heart of God for me is found at the very center of my being. It does not matter how closely the confusion of the outer world presses against me. I'm not even disturbed by the confusion of my immediate environment. I know that the only way to counteract confusion is to bring peace into play. Peace I leave with you. My peace I give unto you. Not as the world gives, I give it unto you. These words of assurance stay with me, and I hear them re-echoing in the depths of my being. Take another deep breath in. Breathe out. I surrender all of my fears, those nameless fears which have beset me for such a long time, dulling my pleasure and clouding my misery and apprehension all of my days. I am now through with fear. What indeed is there for a divine and immortal being to fear? Certainly not people, for as I am a divine and immortal being, so is every man, and every man is my brother. I recognize the one life principle, working in and through and inspiring the motives of everyone I contact. I do not fear sickness, disease, or death, because the eternal and perfect life animates my body and goes always about its perfect work, healing and renewing that body. I'm not afraid of want or lack, for the one infinite essence supplies me with everything I need all of the time. There is nothing for me to fear, for I am an inseparable part of God. I live in Him, He lives in me, and I draw upon His perfect peace. My peace is found at the heart of God. My peace is found at the heart of God. peace is the power at the heart of God. My peace is found at the heart of God. Take a deep breath in. And I welcome you to come back into this holy space of this sanctuary. Thank you for having joined me for the meditation this morning. And at 10 o'clock, the service will start with Dr. Michael Curcuru. So hope you stay and join us for that as well.
Open Open wide my heart. 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 Open wide. Open wide my heart. Open wide my heart. Open wide my heart.
Ooh, it got quiet all of a sudden. Ooh. Maybe we should start with ooh. Ooh, ooh. Do that with me? Ooh. I mean all of you. Come on, it's easy. Ooh. There you go. There is no separation. We connect in harmony with one singular creation. So it is, so let it be. There's a light that shines above us, and in everything we see, in the eyes of those who love us, and in those who disagree. You might have to remember that this week. That belies a higher power. You can find it all around, in the fragrance of a flower, in a feeling or a sound like ooh, ooh. No separation. We connect in harmony with one singular creation. So it is, so let it be. So let's lose our expectations and set our spirits free, knowing there's no separation. I am you and you are me. We finally discover what was right there all the time. Life is love and we're all lovers. I am yours and you are mine. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Can you be comfortable with that line? Life is love and we're all lovers, and I am yours and you are mine. Can you look at everybody in the room and think that? That's your challenge. Ooh, there is no separation. We connect in harmony with one singular creation. So it is, so let it be. So it is, so let it be. One last two. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Take it home. Ooh.
Woo. So I want to thank Al for being here on the third Sunday of every month, and I want to thank him for having been here and really brought that energy of love and light and presence Christmas Eve. He really made it very, very special for everyone here. So he's the voice of music and the sound of music and the muse of music, and we're so grateful that he's here supporting our center. Thank you so much for being here. So I want to welcome everyone here, everyone in person, everyone online to the Centers for Spiritual Living Beaumont. If you are a first-time guest, we have blue welcome packets in the back. I will offer you one. I know we have some first-time guests today. I think it's Serena. Serena, we're glad you're here. And also as a first-time guest, we have a guest book out in our friendship foyer here. And if you would like, we have a How to Speak Science of Mind book for you. It's our very basics for new first-time visitors. So I'll meet you out in the foyer, and we'll get you signed up, and we'll get you a book. And we want to take a moment to invite you to silence your cell phones. We know Spirit may be calling, but Spirit can leave you a voice message, right? He can get back to you later. So we invite you to silence your cell phones. And we like to welcome people here. A song that we used to do at Bear Valley Center for Spiritual Enrichment, a friend of mine, Nancy Walker, wrote it. And so I will sing it to our online community, spiritual community, and here. And it's Welcome Home. Welcome home. We know who you are. You are loved. You are loved. We see your perfection, namaste. Recognizing your true spirit, we honor you today. Welcome home, welcome home, welcome all. So we're glad you're here. Everyone is welcome here, all faiths, all religions, all spiritual walks of life. And so now I invite you to turn to your neighbor and say howdy, just a howdy greeting. So just a howdy, neighbor. Howdy, neighbor. And I like to say, and Mr. Rogers says it so well, imagine what our real neighborhoods would be like if each of us offered, as a matter of course, just one kind word to another person. It's that simple. That's our teaching. Kind words, compassion, caring, just a hello, just a greeting, just a how are you. And so our teaching is really, really simple. It's about greeting each other as we'd like to be greeted. And we know that when we teach in this that there is no other. There is no other in this life plane. We're all the same. We're all one. So when we're greeting someone in a warm and open and a welcome way, we're really greeting ourselves. It comes back upon us. So now we're going into our announcements. And we have our Joel Goldsmith book discussion, The Infinite Way. And it takes place at the home of Von Fowler on Thursdays at 4 o'clock. And there's no homework. The book discussion takes place, and it runs about an hour for the book discussion. And Joel Goldsmith, The Infinite Way, really teaches of that presence that Ernest Holmes speaks about, that one thing, that infinite presence of spirit. And that's what we call forth here. We're a spiritual center. We're rich with spiritual practice. And our next is something that's near and dear to my heart. I've done it at many centers. I've been doing it for about 8 or 10 years, is grief group. And we flip it here. We switch it to good grief. We think in the presence of grief, there's goodness to be found. And that's our teaching. There's good in everything. And so every Thursday, we find our way by the end of the grief group. Yeah, we cry and we laugh and we do all of it, but we find our way through grief to the good that's ever present in grief. And that, for me, is part of moving from hurt to hope to healing. That's our good grief group. And we invite you to celebrate a loved one with our flower ministry, which Rev Beverly started. And Rev Beverly is taking some time to recover right now, but the flower ministry continues. And I want to thank our practitioner, Steve Adams. These flowers are in memory of her son, and Jonathan, and we thank her for supporting the flower ministry. If you want to have an anniversary or something you want to make special notice of and donate flowers, we have a flower calendar in the hallway out there that you can sign up on. Every first and third Sunday, and that was today, we have our Science of Mind discussion group. And it takes place from this book. It takes place in Carter Hall from 9 to 9:30. Just kind of a warm-up, kind of a jump start onto what we're doing here at the center. And then it follows into meditation. Steve Adams did a wonderful meditation today. And then we go into music. And then we go into our message. So every first and third Sunday, join us 9 to 9:30, Carter Hall, for How to Speak Science of Mind. We had a great discussion today of how we move this teaching into, move it from the teaching in the textbook into practicing it in our lives by way of affirmation and recognition and acclamation. And so we invite you to sign up for our Food for Fellowship Challenge. If you sign up, and there are sign-up sheets out in the Friendship foyer out there to bring the main entree. Any Sunday, is it over here? Okay, it's over here on this information station, Food for Fellowship. If you bring the main entree, the center will provide you up to $50 in remuneration if you provide the receipts, if you sign up for the main entree for that Sunday. And we invite you to, let's see, take a ride on the cosmic slingshot. This is a healing presence and healing author. He worked with Louise Hay. He's been on Oprah. Dr. Siegel, who's a very powerful healer, has acknowledged his book, and this is his new book, came out about a year ago. And so George Melton will be with us February 2nd from noon to 1:15. So we'll have service, we'll go in for fellowship lunch, and then we'll go in for this workshop. It's a powerful workshop on the presence of healing in your life. So I look forward to George being here, bringing his book and his workshop to us. And we have our Science of Mind and Spirit 101 book study, Beyond Limits. It's actually a class. It's a certified class. It will take place here, and it's starting in February, and it will continue until April. And the tuition fee is $225, and it will take place here from 3:30 to 5:30 on Tuesday. So I look forward to you joining it. If you've taken the class before, we invite you to take it again, because as you change, as you grow in consciousness, you see the class in a whole new way. So it's a really good primer, and if you've taken it before, I invite you to take it again and see it in a whole new way. And we have coming up self-love themed chair yoga. And this is on Wednesday, February 2nd. We'll have a spaghetti dinner, our usual second Wednesday spaghetti dinner from 5 to 6, and then the presentation of yoga chair practice. So that's new. There are flyers out there in the friendship foyer, and there are sign-up sheets out there for you. So join us for that, something new we're trying here. And Emmy is doing a spiritual tea party led by Darlene Marie Fall, and it will be Wednesday, February 19th from 11 a.m. the doors open, 11:30 a presentation and meditation, and noon finger foods, and 1 p.m. meet the author and have a book signing with Darlene Marie Fall. So Wednesday, February 19th, 11 o'clock, be here for a fabulous tea party, fabulous food, fabulous conversation, and get to meet the author. So we are starting something new here on the second Sunday is going to be Friendship Sunday. And we are offering, and we're upping this because of inflation, right? Everywhere Ross and I go, the prices keep going up. And we keep saying we're not going to do what our grandparents did. And when I was young, bread was a nickel a loaf. And every week we go somewhere and we go, oh my gosh. So last week we announced that second Sunday is Friendship Sunday. And that if you bring a friend, whoever brings the most friends on a Friendship Sunday will receive, last week it was a $25 gift card, but we're honoring the economic environment will be a $35 gift card. So if you bring one friend and nobody else does, you've got a $35 gift card. If you bring 2 friends, you win it. If you bring 3 friends, you win it. So Friendship Sunday, the second Sunday of the month, gift card is available, so bring your friends. You might win it with 1 guest, you might win it with 2, and hopefully somebody with 5 guests will be the person to win that. And so now we're going to go into our Flames of Faith ceremony. And I invite Reverend Neil up, and I will head over here to do the actual lighting of the Flames of Faith.
Flames of Faith ceremony to promote the universal consciousness of life, which acknowledges that all people and all faiths, all beings come from the one great universal presence, which we call Spirit. The unity candle represents the unifying nature of all religious thought and experience, which we honor here today. We light the first candle for the shamanic traditions, honoring the beliefs and practices of all indigenous peoples, the way of primal spirituality. We light the second candle for Hinduism, honoring the path of knowledge, action, and devotion. We light the third candle for the Tao, honoring the universal path of harmony and equilibrium, the natural way. We light the fourth candle for Judaism, honoring the ethical path of living by sacred law. We light the fifth candle for all forms of Buddhism, honoring the Four Noble Truths and the path of compassion. We light the sixth candle for all forms of Christianity, honoring the Christ consciousness as the path of love. We light the seventh candle for all forms of Islam, honoring the path of compliance with the will of God as the highest calling. We light the eighth candle for the universalistic religion of Baha'i, honoring the path of unity and peace. We light the ninth candle, acknowledging all forms of New Thought, honoring the metaphysical path of mental healing through the practice of universal spiritual principle. We light the 10th candle for inclusivity, affirming that all are welcome here. And as we light the healing candle, please put silently into the light names of loved ones, knowing that they have the experience of Spirit's eternal love. And so it is. So I am Reverend Neil, and before I move into our invocation, I thought I would share a reading with you this morning. This is from A New Design for Living by Ernest Holmes. It's called Changes Are Necessary. We are all living in a world of continual change, a world in which thought, thing, and experience are all in a constant state of flux. It is the very nature of the universe that there should be continual change and variation. It is a living world, the creation of a living creative intelligence, not a static world created by God, now dead or departed, who has left it to decay. No, it is vital and alive. The mind that created it is not apart from it, but is always active in and through it. But behind that which changes, behind that which causes the change, we have found there is something stable and changeless, something eternal upon which all the external events depend for their very existence. Behind the endless process of change, the infinite variety of experience and expression, there is that which does not change. We should never be afraid of change, never fearful of what will come. Instead, we should bring to bear on each new event the influence of the creative nature of our thought, an influence that is founded on an inward calm, a sense of certainty and peace, which will reflect itself in the changing scene of our everyday life. As we look for and discover the nature of the infinite, which does not change, we find that we develop a complete trust in the integrity of it. We are again reminded of Einstein's remark that God does not play dice with the cosmos. And we then come to possess a feeling of security, which is enhanced by the knowledge that each of us has a personal and intimate relationship with the infinite. It is from this inward basis of certainty, the sense and awareness of our relationship to God, who is changeless, but from whom flow infinite expressions, that all our thoughts should flow. So I invite you to take that thought into our meditative song.
Anyone could light a candle, but not the way that you do. Anyone could light a candle, just like a flower in the rain. You are unique, the same. Each step you take, each dream you realize will open your heart, your life. Anyone could light a candle, but not the way that you do. For if we look too close, pure magic we would see, pure magic we would be. It's all around each one, it's all around within. The perfect union close inside your dreams, to watch in wonderment as each day begins. They tell me you can hear this song. Anyone could light a candle, but not the way that you do. For if we look too close, pure magic we would see, pure magic we would be.
And so in this moment, we remember that there is only one life, one principle, one present. It is that infinite love. It is that infinite peace. It is that infinite joy. It is the source of all life, the source of this moment, the source of our breath. And because I know that that source is infinite, I know that there is enough. There is enough love. There is enough peace. There is enough joy. That each one of us is that peace, that each one of us is that joy. That whatever is showing up for you this morning, I know, I declare, I speak my word and know that there is enough. I know, I declare, I speak my word, I know that you are enough. That this moment is enough. And so we take this opportunity in conscious spiritual community to open up, to allow that source, that enoughness to flow through each one of us, to show up in our day, to enlighten our minds, to calm our soul, to guide our actions. There is enough. And so in great love and great celebration for this gathering, I give thanks for each one of us showing up as the divine breath, as the divine spirit. We are each that source showing up in our individual ways. Just as we are, it is enough. And so it is.
And so Reverend Neil was sharing enough and more than enough, and that's part of our teaching, and that's part of our spiritual practice. Enough and more than enough. And I'm thinking back on the lighting of the candles, and we had 10 candles, and with the unity candle we should have had 11, but last month we had 7 candles. So we're moving toward enough and more than enough. So we have the candles, it's just a matter of getting them out there, but we did better. And I really like the lighting of the unity candles of faith. And when I was lighting them, I had this strange feeling come over me. As I was presenting them, I felt I was like a QVC presenter or a home shopping network presenter presenting these candles for sale. And really the flames of faith aren't something that are for sale. They really aren't something that you can really offer another person. The flames of faith are really that flame of faith within your own soul. The many flames of faith within your own soul. And so while we can present it on the outside, the presence of those candles on the outside are mere reflections, mirror, M-I-R-R-O-R, mere reflections of the candles of love and light and grace and goodness and kindness and compassion that are the lights of the candles of your own soul. And I love that song. I believe it's called the Candle Song, and I asked Al if he would play it. He played it Christmas Eve, and I loved that song. Anyone can light a candle, but not the way you do. And so our talk title today is Divining Grace. It's about the divining grace of the light of love that we are. It's about the divining grace of the light of universal unity. And I'm spelling universal in that phrase as Y-O-U, the universal unity that we each are. And divining grace is about the divining grace of the light of love of our science of mind principles, practices, and prayers. Our greatest becoming is brought about by our spiritual tools and our spiritual rituals, which brings forth our spiritual present. And those tools are principles, practices, and prayers, and they bring us to a graceland. They bring us to a graceland of experiencing heaven and earth as one. Our principles, our practices, and our prayers bring us to a graceland. They bring us to a graceland of knowing beyond knowing. Our principles, our practices, and our prayers bring us to a graceland of seeing beyond seeing. Now, that may be a little challenging this week, the past few weeks with the fires going on here in California, with a lot of change going on in this country, with a lot of change going on in the world. And sometimes it's hard to say that change is good. Sometimes it's hard for me to say that change is all for the good. But I know the good of this teaching is my willingness to be willing to change with the change. Changing my thinking may not change the outer conditions of the world, but changing my thinking will change the inner consciousness of my life. And as I change the inner consciousness of my life by divining grace through our principles, practices, and prayers, my outer world changes in accord to the harmony and the symphony and the orchestration of the energy of the flames of faith of my soul, which become the light of love in my heart, which becomes the light of love in the world that I choose to be and see and presence. And that's divining grace for me, becoming the demonstration of that love and that light and that truth, despite all conditions, despite all appearances. There's one absolute truth of our divining grace, and that's the absolute truth of coming to see rightly and coming to see brightly. And what we come to see rightly and what we come to see brightly is the absolute truth of this teaching, is the absolute truth of each person present here today, is the absolute truth of every person, being, animal, plant on this earth plane right now. That no one lights a candle the way you do, because no one is the light of love that you are. We're all lights of love, but we're individual expressions of that one light, of that one love, of that one truth, of that brightness and that brilliance and that bounty. Yeah, we're all that light, but we're individual expressions of the light, and that's the beauty and the bounty and the blessing of this teaching. That's the inclusivity of this teaching. That's the open-heartedness of this teaching. That's the open-mindedness of the teaching. That's the openness of consciousness of teaching, of knowing that we cannot make this stuff up, and we cannot make this stuff happen. But this stuff called consciousness, this stuff called divine grace, we can make it welcome. We can make it welcome. And as we make it welcome, we come to see the light of love that we are, and we come to respect the light of love that we are, and we come to a high self-esteem of the presence of the being that we are. And we come to realize that the proverbial light at the end of the tunnel that shines brightly and rightly back upon us in our teaching. And Ernest Holmes says this of the light at the end of the tunnel. Ernest Holmes says this. Ernest Holmes acclaims this. Ernest Holmes affirms this. Ernest Holmes accepts this for us. But Ernest invites us to ask, are we willing to accept this teaching for ourselves? And this teaching that we're talking about today is the teaching of one of Ernest's basic principles and practices and prayers. And he says that life is a mirror, and it reflects back upon us that which we are. That which we are. You know, there's a story about the light at the end of the tunnel. And it's a story about a man who is so frugal that he goes around methodically turning off the lights in every room of his house, even if somebody's in that room reading, even if somebody's in the kitchen cooking. He turns off the light in that room because he's so frugal, he's going to save some energy, right? And what do we know about energy? You can't save it. You can just distribute it. You can't save it. You can't hoard it. You can't store it. You have to express it and experience it and expound upon it, right? That's the energy of our teaching. But he turns around these lights hoping to save energy, right? And then when he makes his transition, the day he makes his transition, his son was really concerned, and he said, "Dad, now when you see the light at the end of the tunnel, please don't reach out and turn it off." And in our Science of Mind teaching, you can't turn it off, right? And you can't turn it on. You can just be present with it. You can't turn this stuff off, and you can't turn this stuff on. You can just be present with it. Science of Mind shares that heaven and hell are not places we go when we die. They're states of our conscious beliefs and values and attitudes, which we choose to live day by day, by day, by day. There's a story of Bishop Berkeley, and he is the gentleman who Berkeley University is named after. And Bishop Berkeley lived in the 1700s. And he came to an awareness of the practices of human conditions. This is his book, which he published in 1709, and it's titled An Essay Towards a New Theory of Vision. Don't you love it? A New Theory of Vision, 1709, a new theory of vision, a new vision of seeing rightly, brightly, and luminously. And he discusses in this book very much what our Science of Mind text discusses, about new ways of seeing and being and becoming. Now, how can this be? A gentleman named Berkeley in 1709 writes a book that shares of the same principles, practices, and prayers that bring us to a lightness of being, that bring us to a divining of grace in our lives, by which we become to realize we are the light of the love in this world, the light of love that is so powerful, that is so strong, that is so focused, that is so radiant. There is no darkness anymore. How many here believe the power of the light is that powerful to the point that there is no darkness anymore, that it can bring a light that is so bright? How many, by show of hands? How many? How many? We don't have all of you, but we will by the end of the talk. We will by the end of the talk, because I'm knowing it, I'm praying for it. And so what does Scripture say? Berkeley says this in Essays Toward a New Theory of Vision. He discusses the limitations of human vision and advances the theory that the proper objects of sight, right, the proper objects of sight are not material objects. Woo! In a consumer-oriented society, go try and sell that one. Go and try sell that one on the mountain in a consumer-oriented society, that material objects are not really what we should be looking at. But he said the material objects are actually condensed energy, condensed light energy. And he says that everything is light and variations of the color of light. And where do we see that? Where do we know that? How do we be with that? Look at rainbow. All of the colors of light. White light, all of it condensed into many colors of light. Where do we see it? In the diagram of the chakras. Yes, that's our teaching. Many colors of the chakra. Crown chakra, soul chakra, all of the colors of the chakra. Colors of light, colors of energy. And what does Scripture say? What does Scripture say? If you don't believe in the power of this light to transform your life, to transform this world, to transform the color of the flame of light in your soul, that transforms the flame of light in your heart, that transforms the way you shine your light in this world. Scripture says this in Genesis. This is everywhere written. And the place we'd like to invite you to write it is on your heart. The place I'd like you to write the power of your light that shines in your soul, I'd like you to write it on your heart. Because when we live from what's written in our heart, there's no right, there's no wrong, there's no good, there's no bad, there's only this one eternal light that is ever present in the darkest of the darkness, and it only takes one ray of light to eradicate all of the darkness, because once you see the ray of light of this teaching, once you see the ray of light of your life, and once you see the ray of light of the flame that you are, that one ray expands into all degrees of light, 360 degrees, round and about, before you and after you, and you become that light of Spirit's presence. And Genesis says this: in the beginning, there was light. Genesis. Berkeley, there's light. Science of mind, light. Light as love. We've talked at the center about light, the word light, L-I-G-H-T, as being love is God's healing truth, and so it is. This light energy that we are, this light energy of the solstice of our soul, this light energy of the heart opening of our heart, this light energy that flows through the thoughts in our mind the way clouds flow through the clear of a blue sky. Can we see our mind as the openness of the clear of a blue sky, and our thoughts as clouds merely passing by? In Jonathan Livingston Seagull, he invites us to practice cloud vaporizing, to go out on a cloudy day and lie on the lawn on our back and look at those clouds and practice vaporizing those clouds. Practice erasing those clouds. Or even more fun, change those clouds into the shape of animals. Change those clouds into a giraffe. Change those clouds into an elephant. Change those clouds into any animal you choose to be. Change the light energy of those clouds into any energy you choose it to be by focusing that light in your soul through the openness of your heart and the willingness to see things rightly and brightly. You know, the focus of our perception becomes the reality of our projection. The focus of our perception becomes the reality of our projection. And the reality of our projection seen forth in our lives demonstrate to us our beliefs, our values, and our attitudes. You want to know what your beliefs, your values, and your attitudes are that are running your life from the subconscious level? Take a look at your life. Take a look at your life. We talked today in Science of Mind how to speak. We talked about that car that you want, that beautiful new car that you want, and you're driving an old clunker. If you're continuing old clunker car consciousness and you're treating your old car like an old clunker and you're not Simonizing, my God, there's a term from the 50s, you're not waxing, you're not polishing your car, you're not taking it to Quick Quack Car Wash, if you have not emptied out the glove box in that car from 10 years worth of expired DMV paperwork, I know some of you there because I've been there, my glove box is pretty clean now, but until we clean out the glove box, until we polish that car, until we take that old car and put brand new tires on it, put a brand new battery in it, put brand new brakes on it, put a brand new coat of paint on it. Get those dents taken out. Because your car is a reflection of your life. Your car is a reflection of your beliefs and your values and your attitudes. And when you begin to treat that car like the car you want, I want a brand new Corvette, I'm treating the car I have like it's a brand new Corvette. Taking it in for tune-up sometime, getting the wiper blades changed. I'm treating that like the brand new Corvette that I want. And what I'm knowing in this teaching, one of these days there'll be a brand new Corvette in that parking lot on Sunday. Not right now in this moment. Right? You can't have all your good at once because you can't handle it. You can't have that loving relationship that you've always wanted until you treat yourself like the loving relationship that you want. How are you treating yourself? Treat yourself like that loving relationship you've always wanted, and that loving relationship is going to show up. Treat your finances like the abundance and the beauty and the blessing of the that divinity of grace, that divining grace of the abundance of heaven and earth. Treat it like spirit. Treat it like presence. Treat it like energy. Treat it, and in today's class we talked about treat it and move your feet. Treat it and get off of your aspirations. You know, Holmes shares that what we see is what we be. What we see is what we be. And as we align perfectly with our science of mind philosophy, our science of mind faith, and our science of mind way of life, a way of life in which we are ever becoming that light of love that we are, right? No one lights a candle the way you do because no one is the light of love that you are. I invite you to say that with me. Say with me, I am the light of love. And say with me, no one lights a candle the way I light a candle. Say that with me. No one lights a candle the way I light a candle, because I am the light of love. Mary Oliver, you know, I love poetry. We got to do a poetry class here, right, where we write it and share it and read it, and Mary Oliver is one of the greats. Science of Mind invites us to be the greatest good we can ever be. Some people, like Mary Oliver, accept the invitation, and some people get an invitation and never open the envelope, right? Some people get an invitation and they don't even take time to open the envelope. Mary Oliver opened the envelope when she wrote this, and it's called Why and When I Am Among the Trees. When I am among the trees, especially the willows and the honey locust, and equally the beech and the oaks and the pines, they give off such hints of gladness. Oh man, they give off such hints of gladness. I would almost say that they save me. And that they save me daily. How many people have been saved daily by a tree? I had a tree at our house in Long Island I went and hugged every year. And that kept growing bigger and bigger, and I couldn't get my arms around it. But I could get my spiritual arms around it, my spiritual heart around it, and I become with the heart of that tree and the branches of that tree. As it grew, I grew spiritually. It saved me. It saved me, and it saved me so many days. It saved me. Mary Oliver says, I am so distant at times from hope within myself. I'm so distant at times from hope within myself. A hope in which I have goodness and discernment. A hope in which I never hurry through the world, but walk slowly and bow often. Around me, the trees stir in their leaves, right? Trees stir in their leaves, and they call out to me, stay a while. Stay a while. Stay a while. And as I stay a while with the trees, I experience a light flowing from their branches. And those branches they call again and again and again to me. The flow of light, they say, is simple. The flow of light is simple. The flow of light is simple. And you too, and you too, and you too have come into this world to do this, to go easy, to be filled with light and to shine. No one lights a candle the way you do, because no one is the light of love that you are. Takes us to today's affirmation. Not a pretty slide, but a pretty affirmation. And so I will read the first line, then I invite you to call and response, read it back. And then I'll read the second line, and I invite call and response for you to read it back. And I'll read the third line, and I invite call and response for you to read it back. So I'll read first line, then call and response. No one lights a candle the way I do. And say that from your heart. No one lights a candle the way I do. No one lights a candle, and turn to someone near you and say, no one lights a candle the way you do. And call and response continuing, no one lights a candle the way we do. And here's our final call and response, because no one is the light of love that we are. The light at the end of the tunnel is not an illusion. If you think it's an illusion, if you think it's a made-up story, if you think it's a dream come true that can't possibly come true, or it's a gate that you'll never run through, or a tunnel you'll never pass through, I'm telling you here and now, because I've been to the tunnel and I came back, and I'm not the only one. I'm not the only one. There are more of us every day. What surprises me is that I chose to come back, but I did. And that surprises me more every day. But there's a reason I came back. It's probably because I'm still working on expressing that light of love that I am, because I'm still working on finding it. Still working on finding it. But I know it's there. I know it's there. The light at the end of the tunnel is not an illusion. It's an illumination. It's an illumination. That's science of mind. Nothing is an illusion. Everything is an illumination. Everything is a divinely graced illumination. And the light at the end of the tunnel is an illumination that reminds us who we are. And who we are is the periscope of perspective from which we see. The periscope of perspective of the pessimist, he only sees a dark tunnel. The periscope of perspective of the optimist, he sees a light at the end of the tunnel. And the periscope of perspective of the realist who looked, oh, this is a podium, this is real, right? This is real. He sees a freight train coming head on. Light at the end of the tunnel. Oh my God, the realist says it's a freight train coming head on. But the train engineer sees three idiots standing in the middle of the tracks looking at the light of his engine. It's all about your periscope of perspective. Are you a pessimist? Are you an optimist? Are you a realist? Or are you a train engineer? Because from the periscope of your perspective will come the possibility of the potentiality of your life, or not. You know, there's a pessimist nightmare I heard about the other day. Pessimist dies on the operating table. And he believes there's a light at the end of the tunnel, and he believes that his spirit will separate from his body, which many people do. And he goes, okay, my spirit's separating from my body, I'm on to my journey, but the pessimist's nightmare is that he gets stuck on the ceiling of the operating room. He can't get past it, and he's stuck there. And why is he stuck there? Because that's the limitation of his belief. He doesn't really believe you can transcend physical form. I can transcend it to the ceiling, but I can't get past to the ceiling. Anita Moorjani, in her book, how many people have read it? Dying to be Me. Dying to be Me. Anita Moorjani, she shares of her near-death experience of journeying into the light and of coming back. And she shares of this light experience, and she says this. These are her words. upon returning to her body on the operating table, she got past the ceiling and she came back. She says, "Wow, this is incredible. I feel so free and so light. I've never felt this good in my entire life. The universe makes sense. Oh my gosh, the universe makes sense. We don't go anywhere when we die. We go here and we go there and we go everywhere into the light of our being." Talk title, Divinely Graced. Divinely graced to go into the light of our being. Here's science of mind. Here's science of mind. Here's science of mind. The light at the end of the tunnel is not an illusion. It's a mere reflection of the light of love that you are. The person you're going to meet at the end of the tunnel is the person that you are becoming. And we visit that tunnel many times, and we return from that tunnel many times. And as we return from that tunnel, we learn to release our tunnel vision. Because when we come from tunnel vision, we end up in a funnel vision of our beliefs and values and attitudes that become magnified as they flow through that funnel into that tight spigot, and they focus and become the projections of our life. The light at the end of the tunnel is not an illusion. The tunnel is. It's our own tunnel vision that keeps us from divining grace of the light of love that we are. It's our own tunnel vision of a periscope of a perspective that keeps us living in the paradox of our problems rather than living free in the paradigm of our possibilities. How many of us are stuck in the paradox of our problems instead of living in the paradigm of our possibilities? Our talk theme is from one many. From one candle, yes, from that one candle that you are. That candle flame that you are. But what do we say? From one many. From one many candle flames in our soul, many candle flames of faith, many candle flames of light, many candle flames of love, many candle flames of laughter, many candle flames of liberty, of a liberty beyond any liability, of a liberty beyond any liability. There's a woman named Sojourner Truth. Anyone know Sojourner Truth? We have a few hands. Sojourner Truth. This is what Sojourner Truth says about divining grace. That divining grace from one many. From one candles, many are lit, and from many candles becomes one flame. And Sojourner says this about divining grace. I will not allow my life's light to be determined by the darkness around me. I will not allow my life's light to be determined by the darkness around me. I will not allow my life's light to be determined by the darkness around me. And you know what? If you live in that place of darkness, and you aren't willing to do the work, and you aren't willing to practice the principles and pray the prayers, and get off your aspirations, all I will say, you're missing this incredibly divine grace that you are. You're missing this incredibly divine grace that you are. Reverend Eunice Chalfont in Palm Springs says, there is no darkness, there is no room you can go into in which there isn't a light switch. There isn't a room, no matter how dark, in which there isn't a light switch if you are willing to look for it. And there's this point in this teaching, you become the light switch and the light and the place beyond all switches. The light's just always on. The light's just always on. And we fuse that light on by the presence of our principles, our practices, and our prayers. Sojourner was an abolitionist, an activist for African American civil rights in the 1800s. She was born into slavery, but she escaped with her infant daughter to freedom in 1826. After going to court in 1828, which no black woman had done, she won her son back from the master slave who owned him, from the master who owned her son. Can you imagine? Can you imagine having a son that somebody owns? Can you imagine having a daughter that somebody owns? Can you imagine having a set of beliefs that own you instead of you're owning them? Can you imagine having a set of beliefs that own you? She won the case. It was the first time a black woman, no one lights a candle the way she did, because she was a unique and individual expression of the flames of light in her soul that became the flames of eternal love in her heart, that became the flames of light in this world. She was the first black woman to win a case in 1828 against a white man. Sojourner Truth knew that as candle is to wick, is to flame, so is our love to the light of this world. She fused her light on. She fused her light on with her faith and her presence and her power and her possibility. She fused that light on. She fused that light on to a point that even a court full of prejudice, full of disharmony, full of disequity, blind to justice, there is no court in this world can forever be blind to the justice of the light of love that you are. Demonstrated in 1828. How are we going to demonstrate in 2025? How are we going to demonstrate that in 2025? How are we going to demonstrate that divine grace? A sojourn truth that she demonstrated, a truth that will not allow my life's light to be determined by the darkness around me. Not by the darkness of any court, not by the darkness of any government, not by the darkness of any religion that teaches me I'm not worthy of who I am. Not buying into that. But I'll tell you what I'll buy into. I'll buy into our concept of oneness. But you know, our concept of oneness, we got to take it further. We got to take our concept of oneness, and we have to take it into the concept of ownership. And when we take our concept of oneness into the consciousness of ownership, we come to an openness of love in which we become the candle and the light and the flame and the wick all fused together in one, in which no one can refuse our power. No one can refuse our presence, and no one can refuse the purpose of what we came here to do and to be and to see. Welcome to Science of Mind and Seeing Rightly. Seeing rightly that we are the divine grace. We are the demonstration of the divine. And we are divinely guided. We are divinely gifted. And we are divinely graced. I've read this before. Divinely graced. How do we do divine grace? It was a progress report in my first sophomore year at USC. And the class was philosophy for film. How do we come from the philosophy, philo, wisdom, divine wisdom? How do we invite divine wisdom into our screenwriting? How do we invite divine wisdom? By bringing forth what's written on our heart. And he says to me, Michael, your class participation has been very good. Okay. You have much potential. Okay. But broaden your vistas when it comes to analyzing films. Go beyond that which is known to common sense, and you will flourish. Our cauldron of consciousness often opens up under the heat of fire. Fire and flames and heat are all over Scripture. Often it's under great heat that our soul opens up, that our heart opens up, that our flame is exposed. Scripture, Moses and the burning bush, what did it say? This applies to Malibu. How far can you go without going too far? How far can you go without teeing people off? You know, if you aren't teeing people off, you're probably not as far into this teaching and unity as you might want. Because if you're coming from this teaching, and you're coming from the unity of this teaching, and if you're coming from a loving presence of from many one, right? From one many, but then we have the reciprocal from many one. I'm one with you, you're one with me, like it or not, that's the way it is. But Moses and the burning bush, the fire was bright and burning brightly, but it didn't consume the bush. Didn't consume the bush. That light in our soul can never be consumed. It can never be extinguished. It can never be dampened. It can never be doused. Scripture speaks of fires that burn yet do not destroy. How can we see rightly? How can we see the divine grace in the California fires? How can we see in the California fires that they're really a cauldron of consciousness? They're a cauldron of consciousness calling us forth into our higher presence, our higher being, our higher seeing. What did Berkeley say? Not material objects. It's all light. It's all energy. It's all energy recreating itself in different forms. And so science of mind is a cauldron of consciousness, of knowing, of seeing, of being. And we're always called by our science of mind, cauldron of consciousness, into a greater becoming beyond our knowing, into a greater becoming beyond our seeing, into a greater becoming of that candle and that wick and that flame that we are. And that cauldron of consciousness we call science of mind. We are always being called into a knowing beyond our knowing, into a seeing beyond our seeing, into a being beyond our becoming of our wildest dreams. No one lights a candle like we do, because no one is the light of love that we are. Anyone change their mind about the power of the light of love shining so brightly in the darkness that there is no darkness anymore? Anyone make a little shift to that possibility today? Yeah. Look around. Keep your hands up. Look around. Like your candle song, Hal. Good theme to work off of. You do such a good job with that. Not just at the keyboard, but in your life. Thank you so much. And so, if no one today has told you that they love you, CSLB loves you, Ernest Holmes loves you, Science of Mind loves you, more people love you than you possibly know. If you'll come to Right Sight, more people love you than you possibly know. But if you haven't told yourself that you love you today, then I invite you to give yourself a hug, to feel into that flame in your heart, that light in your soul, and to know that no one lights a candle the way you do, because you are a unique and individual expression of love in this world. And that's divine grace. Let's finish with our affirmation, call and response. I'll read, call and response. No one lights a candle the way I do. No one lights a candle, look at someone the way you do. And no one lights a candle the way we do at CSL Beaumont. And so it is. And so let's go into let's prayer take us in or take us out or take us round, take us about. Let's prayer take us on a ride, yeah? You know, life is like a roller coaster, yeah? I think the greatest thrill of that roller coaster is when we're right at the top, all of those conditions of life that we're facing and we're resisting. And then we go through those conditions, and no matter what we do, we get called forward to answer them and to face them and to be present with them. And then we're right at the top, beyond that curve of our conditions, into that curiosity of consciousness. As we move beyond the curve of our conditions, we enter a curiosity of consciousness. But we have to be willing to let go. We have to be willing to let go into that unknown, into how deep is that dip. But what I know is the deeper that dip, the greater the rise. The harder I fall, the higher I bounce. The more I practice the principles and the prayers of science of mind, the more presence I am into that being divinely graced and gifted and guarded and guided by that divine presence of light that I am. Together I invite us to say, so it is.
A little more of that. A little more of that. Yeah. Well, there is a light inside of you, sister. And I don't know if you know that there is a light that is so bright. I just thought I'd tell you that there is a light inside of your brother. And I don't know if you know that there is a light that is so bright. And I thought I'd tell you that there is a love inside of your heart. And I don't know if you know that there is a love that is so strong. I just thought I'd tell you that there is a strength inside of your soul. And I don't know if you know that there is a strength inside of your soul. And I thought I'd tell you that there is a power inside of us all. And I don't know if you know that there is a power inside of us all. And it's time to celebrate, so celebrate, 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 celebrate. Well, there is a light inside of us all. And I don't know if you know that there is a light that is so bright. And I thought I'd tell you that there is a light inside of us all. And I don't know if you know that there is a light that is so bright. Can you sing that with me? There is a light inside of us all. And I don't know if you know that there is a light that is so bright. I just want to tell you that there is a light inside of us all. And I don't know if you know that there is a light that is so bright. And it's time to celebrate, so celebrate, 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 celebrate. One more time. Celebrate, 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 celebrate.
There is the light. There is the light. And there is the light. So now it's time of our conscious giving. And I invite you to light a spark of, I call our ushers forward, but a spark of conscious giving that is sparking to grow, that is sparking to expand, that spark of consciousness in terms of financial giving that is inviting it to become a flame and inviting it to become a presence of a greater light, a greater power, a greater presence in this center. No, this center is growing. It's growing spiritually. It's growing financially. It's growing in its education programs, in its music programs, in its fellowship for food. We are growing. And that growing expansion is inviting us to grow along with that expansion, to be the leading edge of that expansion. So as you give today, I invite you to take a look at where your leading edge is and to step one step beyond it. Step one step beyond it. Honor the center, serve the center, grow with the center, grow with the center. And so I invite us to read our conscious giving statement. I give and receive freely and generously with an open heart and an open mind. The universe responds to me in kind. I know that my community is richly blessed, and so it is. If you're in our online spiritual community, come down and visit us in person. We've got good food, we've got good music, we've got good people. Come down and join us. But if you'd like to contribute to the financial well-being, the financial growth, and the financial expansion of the programs at this center, the possibilities of the center, and help us move from our paradoxes into our paradigms of possibility, you can give by texting GIVE to the number 951-420-6909. That's text GIVE to 951-420-6909, or go to our website, cslbeaumont.org, and you'll be able to tithe there and send your tithe in any direction you want it to go, to our music program, our educational program, to our events. Gosh, I'm feeling like Billy Graham. I did. Give now. Give now.
Thank you for giving. Thank you for receiving. And thank you for being who you are. Thank you for breathing. Thank you for believing. And thank you for being who you are. The universe is flowing with love, ever growing, and you are the vessel of that love. So thank you for caring, and bless you for your sharing, and thank you for being who you are.
Now it's time for us to circle up. If you're new to this center, thank you, Al. If you're new to this center, we gather in a circle, we hold hands, and we sing our way out. The lyrics will be on the screen. But if you're not comfortable holding hands or joining the circle, you can stay seated where you are and just join us in consciousness, because we know consciousness connects us all in that unity. So, lyrics are on the screen. Sing along with Al. Oh, this is a good one.
Thank you for this day, Spirit. Thank you for this day. Thank you for this day, Spirit. Thank you for this day. This healing, this healing, this healing day. This healing, this healing, this healing day. This day, Spirit, thank you for this day. Thank you for this day, Spirit, thank you for this day. This beautiful, this beautiful, this beautiful day. This beautiful, this beautiful, this beautiful day.
Pay attention.
Thank you for my friends, Spirit, thank you for my friends. Thank you for my friends, Spirit, thank you for my friends.
yourself along with me into that invitation, into that envelope, open that envelope, open that invitation into the knowing that in our teaching, healing is revealing. And know with me that something wonderful was revealed in each and all of us today in our own way. So I invite you to contemplate as we leave this service and go to Carter Hall for food for fellowship or over here for prayer with our practitioners, to let that healing that in some way was a revealing today to unfold in you all week long. And together we say, and so it is. Amen.
In my